front end's been amazing. Probably actually my favourite section of it, which I didn't think it'd be at all. I thought it'd be the one that I struggled with most. But it's really interesting to see. All the theory sort of comes into practice, and a lot of things click during the section of the course. I think a lot of the time before you're doing a lot of coding and you don't see anything visual, and then suddenly you can apply that on the front end, and then you see pretty things appear and what you're doing actually makes sense, whereas it's not so abstract and sort of theoretical. You're actually putting it into practice, and you're making something that I can show my wife and she can use and understand what it's doing, whereas before it was just streams of ugly code that she had no interest in. She still has no interest whatsoever, but at least she can look at it.
Like before, I thought the front end was just CSS and HTML. When I was doing the basics of JavaScript and the fundamentals and the back end with the JavaScript, I was like, how are we going to use JavaScript for the front end, right? Because I thought front end was just CSS. Completely changed my mind. And now I know that the CSS and HTML is for the UI, which is very different from doing front end. I thought it was going to be easier, but it's not easier. It's still hard. Yeah.
Well, front end was great. We started off with some vanilla JavaScript for the first couple of days, and it was really interesting because it did the job, but you kind of had the feeling that there probably was a better way and a fastest way to write the code. And then React comes in on Wednesday and it's like, wow, this is amazing. Actually, Wednesday and Thursday was quite mind-blowing. We introduced many concepts that were completely new to us, because the way that React is coded is quite different from just normal JavaScript. You use JavaScript inside it, but just the structure, the framework is quite different. So that was quite kind of difficult to take in all at the same time, but it kind of slowly clicked. And the second week, we really ran with it. We were assigned, I think we were put into 2 pairs of the week, but one was for 2 days and one was for 3 days, which meant that essentially we worked on 2 different projects for the entire week. And those 2 projects then could have become the basis for a further project that we could have implemented on our own. So what I did personally, and what I think a lot of people did after pairing with somebody, was forking away. So essentially becoming independent from your pair, and that would essentially make you able to continue working on that project, which is really great because then you can just put it on your portfolio, which I have done in a couple of cases. So yeah, it's been really great to actually see all come together. At the beginning, it was quite difficult to take all the concepts in, but I think second week everything clicked in place, and it was much easier to understand what was happening.
For this past week as well, we were doing the front end of our back-end project, so that was quite fun. And through that, we could see how our way of coding on the back end influences how we're gonna interact with our API, and we can learn from it, of course. And because on the back end we had to write a list of all the endpoints and what to do with them and what we can expect. And to be honest, I didn't do that much of a good job. I mean, it was okay, but I still had to go back, not to the list of the API, but to my API itself to see how I should input my queries. And it's a great way to learn, so we don't make the same mistakes in the future.
Yeah, my portfolio is coming together. It was difficult at the beginning because we were encouraged during Careers Week to have as many projects as possible on a portfolio, but we just come out of back end and we didn't actually have anything to show apart from an API that we'd built, which probably only coders would be able to understand. But then as soon as we got into front end, really any excuse was good to just take a project and run with it. So yeah, my portfolio now has, I think, 5 projects. I can't remember, but quite a few. I've just, kind of tried to build on what I'd already started off during the week on my own during the weekend. And so now I have, very small apps like 1 page or a few pages that all look quite different from each other. And then of course I have the biggest project, which is the one that we did on our individual sprint on the 3rd week of front end. I'm really excited to go into project phase. I think it's daunting because essentially we were really supported throughout the bootcamp by the tutors, and the feeling is that during project phase they're definitely going to give us as much support as possible. At the same time, we just need to be able to do things on our own, which is a really great lesson to learn, of course, for us. But it just means that any technology, any problems that you have, first of all, it is possible that the tutors might not know everything about that technology, because they're not supposed to know everything about everything. Nobody is. And second of all, certainly you learn more by just trying to get stuck and to solve an issue on your own. But I'm really excited to actually see a whole environment come together. I have realized that I'm particularly interested just in full stack development. I thought, I would lean more towards front end, but actually I really like the back end side. So I'm looking forward to seeing the 2 parts of the puzzle come together with a project that is clearly much bigger than our last sprint from front end, and just think about problems together and just try to just get stuck and learn new technologies. So I believe that during project phase, we will be asked to use at least 1 or 2 new technologies that we've not actually used during the course. So that will be a really great opportunity for us to just, first of all, decide what those technologies are and just find out what does the job. Because, we're not coming into this course knowing the solution to all of our problems, like, logging into a page or, creating a database that isn't necessarily with the same structure that we learned during backend. Those are all new things to us, and so it will be really interesting to see how it works out.
I've seen some of the projects that the previous cohort did, and it's again, it feels good because when we looked at them sort of a month or so ago, I was just like, how in a month's time are we ever going to start something like that? Like, it seemed so complex and so difficult. But after doing some front end and finishing the back end project, I just really want to get going with it and feel like I can actually, as a team, we can do something in 3 weeks and it can be decent, which is quite exciting.